Coming up,
the concept is fundamentally flawed because it really isn't privatization. It's corporatization of a monopoly.
ATC Privatization clears committee in the U.S. House. What you need to do to help your associations stop it. A call to action to defend our freedom to fly. Plus, a head-up display for the rest of us. And what exactly goes into landing your Cub on a pickup truck? AOPA Live this week begins in just a moment.
Build and flying with the Sonex aircraft B models. The B models offer more room and comfort, more fuel, more panel space, more engine choices, and the same great Sonex aircraft flight characteristics. Learn more at sonexaircraft.com.
This is AOPA Live This Week with Tom Haines and Melissa Rudinger.
We're asking for your help to join us in the effort to protect your freedom to fly. I'm Tom Haines. Melissa is on assignment this week. A committee in the U.S. House has passed a bill that would privatize air traffic control, and we know that would be bad for general aviation. The bill was introduced last week. Markup happened on Tuesday, and it was approved by the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee and will now be considered for a vote on the floor of the House. No Democrats voted for the bill. House General Aviation Caucus co-chair Todd Rokita of Indiana was the only Republican on the committee to vote against it.
The ATC part of this bill has been called privatization. It's really the corporatization of a monopoly. And I happen to know a little bit about this. When I was Indiana Secretary of State, we privatized the Indiana Toll Road. When we privatized the Indiana Toll Road, first of all, we didn't give the toll road away. We leased it for 99 years for the price of $3.8 billion. Everyone was allowed to bid, anyone who was interested, and we gave the bid to the best bidder, a dispassionate third party that ran the concession. Here's what we didn't do. We didn't give the Indiana Toll Road to the truckers and say, you run this state treasure, you run this asset, and I'm sure while you're doing that, you'll take care of the cars too. When you're trying to get cold rolled steel out of the steel mills in Northwest Indiana, I'm sure when your trucks need to get out, you won't block access on the on and off ramps. You won't do other things. You won't charge extra fees. We didn't do that because it wouldn't work.
AOPA is against privatizing ATC. We want all of our members to join us in fighting against the bill. AOPA President and CEO Mark Baker says it's time to act.
Well, the call to action is very important, and it is urgent. We got to light up the phones with these congressmen and women, your senators, because it's really urgent right now.
So what can you do? Well, if you're an AOPA member, check your email. We have a letter we are asking you to sign and send to your elected officials. You can also call your congressman, reach out to their staff in your local field office, their statewide office, and their D.C. office. Many of them will be in their home districts for the 4th of July recess.
Our representatives get back to the 4th of July parade around our towns in rural America, everywhere. And it's a great time to grab your representative and talk to them about why this ATC privatization is a bad idea. And it's urgent because when they come back to session called about July 10th, they may have an opportunity to start voting on this thing. It's really important that we get in touch with those representatives and say this is a bad idea for America, it's a bad idea for rural America, it's a bad idea for general aviation.
You can find more information and resources on our websites. One bright spot is that the United States Senate does not seem keen to give away our nation's air traffic system to a private corporation overseen by the airlines. Senator John Thune has introduced an FAA reauthorization bill that does not include privatization. Markup on that bill is expected to happen this week. So unless a senator attempts to add privatization as an amendment, the Senate does not currently appear to want to make the same mistake as the House. Well, meanwhile, just around the corner in D.C., the U.S. Supreme Court handed over a win for aviation freedom. The highest court declined to hear arguments in the now finished legal battle over noise at the East Hampton, New York airport. In 2015, the city implemented arbitrary noise restrictions and curfews in operations at the airport. Guess what? That's illegal.
The city did not follow the existing federal process in putting the curfew in the first place. They just arbitrarily picked some numbers, picked some times, and enacted the ordinance.
Bill Dunn with AOPA's Government Affairs team says local authorities have to follow federal guidelines to establish noise restrictions. And that begins with a Part 161 noise study that the city plans to begin. Well, there are TFRs expected to be in place for the holiday weekend. The president will be at his New Jersey golf club, and pilots are reminded to check NOTAMs before you fly. But if you don't, federal authorities are on their game to come get you. A few weeks ago, the U.S. Coast Guard, the Civil Air Patrol, and NORAD participated in the Cross-Tell exercise. Our cameras rode along as Coast Guard helicopters intercepted a Civil Air Patrol Cessna. Violations of TFRs are serious business and can affect your pilot certificate. Let's say it again for the folks in the back. Check the NOTAMs before you fly. Our Adventurous Air Race Classic pilots, well, they're home. The team received a warm welcome back on the AOPA ramp this week. The team placed 39th on the long race across the country.
Fantastic. It was a lot of fun, and I think we've met the three objectives that we set out to meet. First, we had lots of fun.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Safety.
And we learned
And
a
it
lot.
was challenging.
That's the third one. We learned a whole lot.
Team 39, the Kiwi Express, flying a Cessna 182, won the race. And Team 47 from Embry-Riddle Aeronautica University and a Cessna 172, the Gurley Girls, they came in second. Congratulations to all the teams. This week, high school teachers from around the country came to AOPA. They were here to get hands-on experience with AOPA's new high school curriculum. It's being developed by AOPA as part of the You Can Fly program. In testing the 9th grade curriculum, the teachers built wind tunnels, tested airfoils, and designed rocket balloons. The goal of the curriculum is to give students exposure to aviation at a young age to help reduce the pilot shortage and to prepare them for careers in aviation. It's estimated North America alone will need 112,000 new pilots by 2035.
There will be a shortage, but we see it as an opportunity because students don't necessarily know what careers are available to them, and we want to expose them through multitude of careers in aviation as a result of this curriculum.
The curriculum gives teachers all the tools they need to teach about aviation in an interesting and engaging way.
The curriculum is entirely produced from lesson plans to student activities to even quizzes. It presents it entirely in a format that's usable. So hearing the other comments of the teachers here today, they're very excited about it.
The curriculum will be used for 9th graders by the teachers at the workshop this fall. The goal is to make the curriculum available for free to high schools across the country next year. Curriculum for grades 10 through 12 will be built in upcoming years. Well, for years, aircraft have been used in the study of severe weather. From storm-chasing helicopters to hurricane-hunting P-3 Orions, the best way to study the sky is, well, from the sky. Now drones are stepping up in Oklahoma. Oklahoma State University this week hosted a demonstration of a project called CloudMap, or the, get this, Collaboration Leading Operation Unmanned Development for Meteorology and Atmospheric Physics. Hey, we'll stick with CloudMap, all right? It's a partnership between 4 universities to develop ways for meteorologists to use drones as everyday data gathering tools. More than 60 engineers and scientists got together this week in Stillwater, Oklahoma to show off the project.
Unmanned aircraft, they're a game changer when it comes to weather forecasting, weather observation, being able to take these measurements because it gets us really close down to the ground where you're not comfortable with manned aircraft but beyond the reach of towers, and where balloons just kind of zip through really, really quickly. It's an area that we don't have a lot of good measurements at, even though it's kind of the easiest area for us to reach. So unmanned aircraft and drones can, probe this area very easily for us and be able to provide these measurements back, which are vital for weather forecasting.
Oklahoma State has an Unmanned Systems Research Institute. Drones, of course, are a part of the AOPA You Can Fly program. AOPA features a drone membership targeted at Part 107 operators. And if severe weather research is something that you're interested in learning more about, well, hey, just 88 miles south of Stillwater lies Norman, Oklahoma. And AOPA is hosting a fly-in to Norman on September 8th and 9th. One of the excursions from the event will be a trip to the National Weather Center. That is the hub for weather research in the United States. You'll be able to go inside the National Severe Storms Laboratory, the Storms Prediction Center, and the Norman Forecast Office. Find all the information on our website. I did the tour a few months ago, and I got to tell you, it's fascinating. And if you think fighter jocks, airline pilots, and other elite aviators are the only ones who have the luxury of a head-up display, one company's out to prove you wrong. AOPA Editor-at-Large Dave Hirschman shows us one affordable HUD coming to a spam can near you.
Military, airline, and high-end corporate pilots know all about head-up displays.
Having experience flying in the military, A7 and F-18, both with HUDs, and realizing the benefit that a HUD brings not only in situational awareness but also just in safety. I've always found it so much better to have all of your information right in front of you.
HUDs have always been off-limits to general aviation pilots because of their exorbitant costs, but that may be changing. Epic Optics, a small Maryland firm, has developed a portable HUD that projects critical flight information into a pilot's normal field of view.
It takes video and projects the video onto the combiner glass. So all of the prescriptions, all of the technology are the benefit of the optics that we've learned over the years.
Instead of dividing their attention between the instrument panel and the outside world, pilots can keep their eyes looking outside at all times.
You're out there looking around, and so your situational awareness is going to go up, and you're going to spend less time in the cockpit. Once you get a HUD up there, everything's going to change.
We flew with a prototype HUD in an Aviation test aircraft near the company's research facility in Boston, and the results were impressive. Information from the Aviation avionics was easy to see while looking outside, even in bright daylight. In cloudy conditions, airports and runways are visible on the HUD throughout the approach and landing. Look for the Epic Eagle, the first portable GA HUD, to be available sometime this year. Dave Hirschman, AOPA Live.
Thanks, Dave. The initial cost for the HUD is expected to be around $2,000. Find more about the HUD on our websites. When we come back, flying a Mustang across the pond solo, and them Alabama boys put on quite a show.
Did you know it's now fully legal to fly your plane to Cuba? Call the experts at Cuba Handling and we'll walk you through the process. Our team will make your flight simple and will create the experience of a lifetime. From hotels to cultural experiences, we do it all. Visit CubaHandling.com. Welcome
back. Planning to do any flying this holiday weekend? Not like Stallion 51's Lee Lauderback is, I'm guessing. The legendary Warbird instructor is at the controls as we record this, flying a P-51 across the North Atlantic. The Mustang, called Berlin Express, is on its way across the pond for an air show in England. The airplane will be landing in Duxford on July 4th ahead of the Flying Legends Air Show there. You can follow the whole trip at the website on your screen, although I'm guessing the Brits don't have a lot to celebrate on the 4th of July. He's one of the greats and he's hanging it up, sort of. Sean D. Tucker says he will retire his solo act after the 2018 season. Tucker said his Red Oracle Challenger 3 biplane will go on permanent display at the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum following the 2018 season, and he'll shift to a less physically punishing form of airshow flying. And who can blame him, because that looks like it's really painful. Big news from down under. Mahan Aerospace says the Airvan 10 has received its type certification from Australian and American officials. The 10-seat turbine-powered airplane follows in trail of the 8-seat piston Airvan 8. The 10 is powered by a Rolls-Royce M250 turboprop. We know that general aviation serves America. In many ways, public benefit flying is the best way to highlight those efforts. Many pilots would like to be a part of using their airplanes for the greater good, but where to begin? The AOPA Air Safety Institute has an updated course on public benefit flying. It'll walk you through everything you need to know. Find the course on the Air Safety Institute websites. There are a few names more beloved on the airshow circuit than Greg Koontz. The larger-than-life pilot spreads smiles with a southern charm, but it's not all play. Al Marr shows us that his infamous Alabama Boys act takes a lot of precise flying and one big pickup truck.
We know exactly what you have always wanted to do. That is, land your airplane on top of a moving pickup truck. You just need to know how, right? Here in one easy lesson is airshow pilot Greg Koontz to tell you just how to do it.
I'm in Asheville, Alabama, a little bitty town in the middle of nowhere out in a grass strip next to a cow pasture. I fly air shows, I teach aerobatic flying, and I'm a dealer for American Champion aircraft. You know, comedy acts have been around since 1932. A guy named Mike Murphy came up with the idea originally, as best we can tell. The idea is a farmer or somebody gets away with an airplane they don't fly. Well, we also had a truck that we want to land on. And we decided to combine the two together and to make something just a little bit more unique. We'll show up at the airport in this pickup truck looking for this lesson that we had paid for years and years before. During the act, they'll shoot us with a gun to try to get me down. The engine's running rough, and then someone says, hey, they're from Alabama. They can put anything on, I'll pick them up truck. So how do we do it? I approach the truck in a pattern the same every time. And in this circumstance, the driver's in control. Right? He's going to decide when to start down the runway from the end of the runway and how fast he's going to accelerate. Once he's at speed, he's set. Now it's my turn. I've got to get there, I've got to adjust for the wind, and I've got to get right over it and put it on. Not easy. You just don't know how much you do this when you fly an airplane. And one of the first things you learn is you don't correct for the wind. You don't put a wing down and slip. So what you really do is you just go ahead and crab. Plop it on, and then once you're on, you kick or whatever you need to straight, add a little power, roll straight, and when we get there, we fall into the wheel well, and once I'm in the wheel wells, little forward pressure to make her stay there, now the driver's under control. He's going to decide if we're going to stop or not, which doesn't seem important, but you can run out of runway with all this playing with it and getting going. And I'm looking down at the wheels and not at where we're going, so he gets to make that decision. So when I'm in the wheels and I don't feel deceleration for a couple of seconds, he's saying, we're not stopping, so I get back off. If I follow the wheels and I feel that deceleration, then I just need to stay on that thing till he gets it stopped. So it's he's under control, I'm under control, then at the end he's under control, and that's how we do it. I've been using a Piper J3 Cub for years as a traditional airplane, for the act. The Legend Aircraft Corporation came along to make a duplicate Cub, I guess, and did a nice job. It's been a real popular airplane and really looks like a Cub, flies like a Cub. This one is their latest version of it. It's the Super Legend HP because it's got more horsepower. It's a completely different thing. The old J3 Cub's a lovely airplane. I love them, been flying all my life. But there's been a lot of improvements made. This thing has 180 horsepower in it. It weighs more than 200 pounds less than the Super Cub that has 150 horsepower in it. So it's just breathtaking with this thing. You have the power to it, and in a couple of seconds you can point it at the sky and it's gone. You notice it has a door on both sides, and when you flop both those doors and windows open and fly this thing, and you feel really outside with the airplane. And what's a Cub for? It's flying low and slow and feeling like you're on a Harley in the sense of being out there amongst it,
Okay, we need to add one friendly disclaimer. Don't do this at home or anywhere else. Al Marsh, AOPA Live.
Thanks, Al. So you learn something new every day here watching this show, how to land on a pickup truck. That's it for this week. We hope you have a good holiday weekend. We also hope you remember the sacrifices made by our men and women in uniform and their loved ones to protect our nation and our freedom. To honor their sacrifice, we leave you with a look at some of the air show and fireworks as seen from the military ramp at AirVenture last year. Happy Independence Day, and see you next Thursday for another AOPA Live This Week.
Breitling, instruments for professionals.